But for now, we still have the Studebaker and the parade coming up. And yesterday, I spent a little time running the Studebaker. I had a little issue with it backfiring, and I think I kind of found the issue on that by relocating some spark plug wires. But I also noticed that when I kind of get down on it, I could hear a little rattle in the valves. I was thinking, well, I ought to just reset those valves. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to let this warm up a little bit and back it out. Set those valves with it running. And that'll be fine. Not bad. Usually I put a half a Chevy valve cover gasket on this. This is a newer model Chevy. It doesn't have the holes down here for the old style valve cover gasket. But even without them, with these little pins in place, I'm still able to run this without stuff coming out of it. So I'm just going to adjust all of these one at a time. The way we do that is we loose them until they start flapping. Tighten them back. Okay, I got that wire untangled from back in there and reconnected pretty much the way it's supposed to be. You notice I got some wires sticking out here. That used to go up under back there. I felt like I might have so many wires so closely bunched together back there that they were causing this thing to backfire. Sometimes when you get a lot of wires that are put together in such a way where they can be rubbing up against each other, it's not a long distance between there and having something that's giving you some trouble. I'm going to clean up this valve cover before I put it back on. Now I'm going to take off the other side, do the same thing. I've got I got this brake booster and everything here in the way over here. Maybe we can work around that. No, we're going to have to. We will work around that. Yeah. So I can get 3 of these out with this gun. I think that's a spring-loaded attachment. Oh, it can come in handy sometimes if you can get it to work. And that 4th one isn't going to come out with that. Let's do something else with that. Now for this back one, I'll reach up under here, and that ain't gonna work either. We'll try it with this one. Nope, that ain't gonna work. So we'll try it with this one. Now, one thing I did notice, I've got an oil leak right where down underneath the base of the distributor cap is where the oil pressure sending unit attaches, and I noticed that on this one it's oily, and on the floor over there I've got a little bitty tiny oil spot. So what that tells me is that that is not working correctly. I can tighten that, but it's very difficult to get to. But you know, looking over the back of here, I can see it better than, you know, let's say, what if I was working on a car and had like a Chevy and had an engine down in between the fenders, you know, then you have to literally lay down on top of the engine to try to get to that. Whereas at least on this one, I can reach over from the top. That's helpful. Sometimes these little kind of wrenches like this, with the built-in ratchet, comes in real handy for something like this. Get that onto there. You can ratchet it without it having to take up all the space that a ratchet wrench would normally take up. Now, another issue I might get into is when I try to take this valve cover off of here, it might run right into this booster, which could be a problem. Let's see if it's going to be. So up front here, it runs into the wire that goes to the alternator. And the back here, it runs into the booster. That is a problem. I may have to take the alternator off to get to that. It can be done though, if need be. Actually, what I can do is, if I loosen this bolt, I can lay this alternator over, and that'll allow me to get this part off, and then maybe it'll come past that right there. We'll see. Hi, sweetie. Boy, that alternator is a very tight fit, because if it goes this way, it hits the valve cover. Ha! So what I'm going to have to do is, I think I might have to take a bolt out of the water pump down there. I can't hardly move it that way enough to get the belt off. I'm not sure. Sometimes if you take a bolt out of your water pump, you'll have water squirting out. I don't want to have that, but I might not have any choice. I suppose the solution would be to take that bolt out quickly as possible. I don't think I can get a gun in there either. So, oh, let's see what happens if we loosen it a little bit. I'm very tight. Well, now that that's completely off of there, I still can't. Take that. But we're going to do whatever we have to do to get it out of there. It's one of those places where I almost want to undo the battery, because it's very easy to touch the hot side of that alternator and get a pretty good sized shock if you ground that. And on the other hand, I'm going to want to crank it and run it. I I'm going to undo the battery cable just for now. And yeah, I'm going to do that. I don't want to take a chance. I've been burned before by an alternator. What I could do, I suppose, instead is loosen this up. Take this hot wire off and lay it down there. This is becoming a little more involved than I was expecting it to. Oh, that's okay though. We don't have a whole lot else to do today, do we? Nah. No rush. No rush, no worry. Now those wires up there are still hot. So I don't want them to touch the exhaust manifolds, but there's some more wires I still have to get off. This is not a one-wire alternator. I wish it was at the moment, because then I would only have the one wire to worry about, and they do make one-wire alternators, and if I ever set one up, I will always go for the one-wire alternator instead of one with several wires. Man, that is really a struggle. I might let me tilt it enough though to slide that belt off of there. Yeah, that'll work. Now, I think I'll just stick this back in just to make sure that doesn't fall down in the meantime. I need to lift that now a little bit. So what I'm going to do is run this without that on there. I suppose I can leave this because see that water pump, that belt won't turn. If I can get this off of here, I can crank the engine without the water pump or the alternator and adjust those valves. I would want to do it fairly quickly. I don't want to run it enough for that to get too hot. Oh man, how the heck did he take that? That's not good. If y'all can see what I'm doing there. I'm trying to get this off, but it's hitting this brake booster. I don't want to have to take the brake booster off. I may not have a choice. I may have to. Let me get it off of there. Okay. All right. Well, that was certainly interesting. So, now I'll put my little clips back on here. See, there's an oil hole. There's an oil hole right here where the oil comes out, and what this clip does is it just covers that hole so that instead of squirting it with 50 pounds of oil pressure, there's probably enough oil that coming out of there to squirt it against the outside wall of the garage. So what this clip does is it makes the oil hit that and run down rather than squirting out over the side of the engine, which allows me to loosen and retighten those rocker arms so that I can get my adjustment done. We're getting there, y'all. It's the longest process, but it's going to be worth it in the long run, I can tell you that. Now I know I can't use my long extension on that, but I'm hoping that I can get this one up in here enough to be able to do what I need to do with it. So looks like I can. And I'm gonna start from the back, work my way forward. The first thing we're gonna do is loosen them, and then we're gonna tighten them. Yeah, that's the plan. gonna let that sit, cool off. It's up to around 180 degrees. And keep in mind the water pump's not working, so there's nothing to cool it with. But I adjusted them all to here. There's 3 left. One of them is clicking a lot. No, which one it is. What I did was I just started from the front. As each one begins to click, I can tell, and that eliminates that one. But one of them is clicking real loud. See, that's hot enough to burn that rag there, so certainly hot enough to burn my arm too. So what I'll do is I'll just walk away from this, let it cool down. We'll come back to it in a little while and we'll do some more. I might run into town. I got an error to run. I could do that while I'm waiting for that to cool off. I think I will.